Welcome everybody. We're going to get started in just a few seconds. Just give it a few minutes for people to jump on. Happy St. Paddy's Day. We'll get started here very shortly. Hello, welcome guys and gals. We're going to get started here in just a second, so sit tight and we'll jump right into it. Looking forward to today's live stream. Hope everyone is doing well and wishing you all a wonderful St. Paddy's Day. We'll get started here in just a second. All right, welcome. We're going to get started here in about 30 seconds. We'll just give it a couple more seconds for people to jump on. Happy St. Paddy's Day. And while we're waiting for everybody to jump on, I'm going to crack a Molo. So cheers to St. Patrick's Day. And I'm cracking a Molo, 2.5. Still early in the day, so I'm not, I haven't upgraded to the Molo 5 yet. But got some drops as well, some of those XMG drops. It's 2 drops is 1 milligram, so you can bump that up to a 10 later on too if you want. But cheers, we're going to get started here. So welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth for an MJ Sector review. Today is March 17th. It is Wednesday. It's Rod with Powell Group. And in today's video, we're going to be discussing Sundial Growers reporting earnings for Q4 2020 and full fiscal year. So we'll jump into that here in just a second. We'll look at some news and events on the day. And then we'll look at the SNDL after hours and the chart. And then we'll look at the overall Canadian and US cannabis space as well. So jumping right into today's news. So Sundial Growers post fourth quarter 2020 revenues of 13.9 million, net loss of 64.1 million. And we'll look at the specifics here in just a second. And I see we have some questions coming in, so I'll get to questions in just a second. So don't think I'm ignoring the questions. I see them coming in. We'll get to them here in just a second, but let's just actually skim through this. Sundial Growers posts fourth 2020. Yeah, we already read that. This evening, vaguely reported its fourth quarter financial results, reporting revenues of 13.9 million for the quarter, as well as a net loss of 64.1. Financial results were released this evening. As of the time of writing, only consisted of a news release. So this was a fairly terrible article. Moving on. Congressional marijuana banking bill will be reintroduced on Thursday. So I was thinking of this today and we posted in our group and we talked about the possibility of the Safe Banking Act lining up well with our earnings that are coming up. We had GTII report earnings. They absolutely crushed it. We have potential news that the Safe Banking Act could be reintroduced tomorrow. We also have progress on New York, which we'll discuss in just a second. So there's a lot of stars aligning here, and this could be one crazy day and firework day tomorrow. We had SPY consolidation today. Check out my broader market video that I just did for a review of the broader market, but we had daily consolidation today, and that is going to be setting us up well for the earnings reaction here tomorrow. So we'll keep close eyes on this here, potentially gaining some headwind tomorrow. And we also had Todd Harrison. I've been following Todd very, very closely. He posts a lot of good stuff. Go give him a follow. But okay, just going to put this out to the universe. 2 p.m. Canna Rally into 420 begins. After hours, Green Thumb crushes earnings. Tomorrow, Safe is introduced. Next week, New York, they all crush. So all these TerraSand and Trueleaf and Cureleaf. We've got the Coal Memo Chaser. Setup is there after 25% PB into this. Just got to bring it home. So pretty funny. But let me know in the comments, are you pumped for this week? Because if your blood isn't boiling after reading that, then there's something wrong. I question whether or not you are human. But on a more serious note, let's move on to the financials. So Sundial, they report full year and fourth quarter 2020 financial and operational results. So for the full year ending December 31st, 2020, all financial information in this press is reported in millions of Canadian dollars and represents from continuing operations unless otherwise indicated. So let's take a look here. So they had a beat on revenue by about $1 million, and it looks like they missed on EPS, but I haven't got the official numbers out yet. No official update on the EPS. Completed financial restructuring and eliminated $227 million aggregate principal amount of debt during 2020. $60.4 million unrestricted cash on hand at December 31st, 2020, and $719 million unrestricted cash on hand as of March 15th, 2021. Wow. Stock is up after hours as well. Just want to check in on that. $1.68. So keep in mind, we've run about 100% from the lows there a little over a week ago. Branded net cannabis sales increased to 75% of total cannabis sales in 2020 from 20% in the previous year as Sundial transitioned to the wholesale to branded retail sales. Net cannabis revenue for the fourth quarter 2020 was $13.9 million, an increase of 8% over quarter of 2020. So it looks like they beat on revenue by about $1 million. General and administrative costs were reduced by 18%. So there's not really, I'm not going to go over this whole report as there is quite a bit to go over today. We also have Hexo earnings coming out tomorrow. We'll go over GTI, Green Thumb, GTII as well. So we'll go over that here fairly quickly, but overall after hours looks pretty good. And we're seeing a lot of year over year, quarter over quarter increases. Cash position is improving. The net loss, we were probably expecting a net loss. I don't know about you, but I wasn't expecting a positive reaction there. Still a fairly new company as well, so we need to keep that in mind. So average gross selling price per gram equivalent of branded products was $5.05 per gram in 2020 compared to $6.24 per gram in the prior year. Average gross selling price of unbranded flower of $1.43 per gram. So revenue by formats, they have it broken down there. I like this report. It's very well, laid out and lots of, I actually just ordered some of this top leaf today. Let me know in the comments if you've tried Sundial's products. I personally haven't tried them, but they look pretty good. I was looking at them today and I'm excited to give it a try. So moving on, you can check out that kilograms sold. Company sold 23,500 kilogram equivalents cannabis 2020, a 36% increase over the previous year, 17,293. So they have net loss information there. Adjusted EBITDA from cannabis operations was a loss of $25.6 million. So still not really making any money, but again, it's a fairly new company, so that's sort of to be expected. But based on these numbers, we could see them profitable here within the next year or two, in my opinion. So we'll skip through this a little bit faster here. So again, you can read this on your own time. It is pretty lengthy. I did skim over it before we got started, so there wasn't anything else that I wanted to, actually the conference call. So just wanted to mention that for folks that are joining as well. If you want to participate, Sundial will host a conference call and webcast at 10:30 a.m. on Thursday, March 18th. And you can access all of that there. So you can just go to Google and type in Newswire, Sundial earnings should come up. I'll also post it in the description below. So moving on to GTII, Q4 revenue increases 13% sequentially to 177 million, with EBITDA margin expanding to 37%. So obviously Green Thumb, a lot more established, a lot more population in the US, but absolutely crushes earnings. Financial results are reported in accordance with US generally accepted accounts, GAAP, okay, and all currency in US dollars. Revenue increased 12.8% sequentially and 133.8% year over year to 177.2 million. Second consecutive quarter of positive GAAP net income, so they are making money, delivering 22.5 million or 11 per basic or diluted share. We were looking at 8 was the forecast, and it came in at 11, so big beat there, and revenues beat as well. Second consecutive quarter for positive GAAP. Adjusted operating EBITDA grew 23.1% sequentially and 374% year over year. Wow, that is impressive. Fourth consecutive quarter of positive cash flow from operations. Subsequent to quarter end, raised approximately 156 million in sales of U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission registered shares. Highlights for the year. Revenue increased 157.2% to 556 million. Positive GAAP net income of 15 million or 7 cents per basic or diluted share, compared with a GAAP net loss of 59.1 million or a loss of 31 cents per basic and diluted share in prior year. Adjusted operating EBITDA grew 546%, 179 million. Strong balance sheet and disciplined capital allocation to support continued future growth. So all in all, looking pretty darn good. It'll be one day we'll see the Canadian LPs post those kind of numbers, in my opinion, but it just, with the population, they've got over 10 times the amount of people, and it's obviously very, very densely populated. And we know that Canada's been slow to roll out those retail stores. I have a lot of people that still haven't even tried or haven't even really gone to a store because they live hours away in a remote location. You got to keep in mind it's a little different when you're in Canada, but definitely a bright future just by looking at all of this. So current assets were 183.9 million, including cash and cash equivalents of 83.8 million. Total debt outstanding was 99.1 million, and 342,000 of which is due within 12 months. Total basic and diluted weighted average shares outstanding for 3 months ended December 31st, 2020 were 213.2 million and 217.2 million respectively. So they had announced a sale and a leaseback transaction with IIP for its Toledo, Idaho manufacturing facility, securing an additional 25 million to the fund construction of cultivation facility on the property for a total investment value of 32.2 million. In February 2021, quarter end, the company raised approximately 156 million through direct public sales, approximately 4.9 million shares in the company's US IPO. US shares registered, yada, yada, yada. We all know that. Retail service business development. So again, you can check out all of this on your own time, but we're going to move on. Do they have a conference call? Media contact? Not seeing it. Anyway, going to move on in effort of time. So let's take a look at Hexo Corp here and their potential earnings coming out. So we're expecting good things in our group. I'm expecting good things from Hexo, but again, anything can happen. Earnings is always a gamble. I am expecting a big revenue beat. I'm expecting a beat or inline EPS. I'm not expecting positive EPS just yet, but definitely a slight increase of what the estimates are likely forecasting. And we could see positive EBITDA and another quarter of, an improvement in their profitability area and department. And I'm liking what I'm seeing. The stock had a little bit of a dip today, but you didn't really give much opportunity to load up going into earnings tomorrow pre-market. And we have the conference call tomorrow, which I'll be joining as well. So you can join in on that. It's at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. And there's the webcast details. You can just head on over to hexocorp.com, click on press releases, click on the March, and then that earnings article, and that'll bring it up for you. But on the earnings, we are expecting EPS of negative 0.047 and revenue of 32.28 million. So I was going to bring up this yesterday, and just in the effort of time, I moved on, but they have some new products. So gelato is now available on the SQDC. And we also have lemon haze. So can't wait to try those. Let me know in the comments if you've tried those. Be curious to see what your thoughts are. So Canadian LP Rubicon Organics aims to capture the premium organic cannabis niche. So we'll see if they can manage their way into the lead there. So SNDL 167 here after hours, up about 8.44%. Keep in mind they didn't absolutely crush earnings, so we need to be a little cautious. We've run from 93. We had support at 93 cents, and that's when I started to scale in under $1 psychological. And I know a lot of people back here were very bullish. We're going to the moon, $100 SNDL price, no problem. Don't worry about it, no sweat. And a lot of people probably started to sweat as we got down here. And I said, a lot of people in our group said, at $3, do you like SNDL? No. Do you like it at $2? No. I said, I'd like it at $1 or $1.50. And then sure enough, we went under $1. We had previous hourly support over at 93 cents. So when we saw that dollar flush, I was really interested, anticipating that they would likely run it into earnings and likely see other MSOs post strong earnings like Curaleaf and GTII, and you see the whole sector run, and then the Safe Banking Act possibility of that coming out mid-March. So there was a lot of catalysts. New York, potentially recreational legalization. So just from this low, we're up almost 100%. So you need to keep in mind that we're up over 9% now, but we could see a potential sell the news and reaction tomorrow. So you need to be aware of that. If we do gap up with the rest of the space, and if SPY's strong, we see a gap up, I wouldn't be, if it were me in a bull position or swinging, I would probably unload it at the open or during pre-market if you're able to do that. But we did consolidate today on the daily, so just keep in mind we've run almost 100%, and the likelihood of us, and we would have run over 100% by now with this after hours movement. So just keep in mind that we could see a sell the news event. So we see a gap up and extreme conditions, just be cautious of a potential gap up and sell off. But we had that inverse head and shoulders set up on pretty much everybody today. And if we can get over this resistance here, we've got a lack of resistance on SNDL. We've got resistance at $1.75. And then really after that, there's not really much on the daily. We can zoom in, find a couple more levels, I'm sure. So $2 psychological, 225. And then after that, we have a level here at 3 and then 315. And then the recent high is up at around $4. So it's looking good, but just cautious here of this huge move that we've had, and just a little cautious. If I were swinging this, I don't have a position in SNDL. I'm all out. I've made over 30%. I didn't see the brunt. I didn't see that whole move, but I saw enough of it, and I entered a pretty large position on that. So just remaining protective. I'm swinging some Hexo and some other MJ as well, but I've got a big position in Hexo, and I'm very bullish going into that. So we'll look at that in just a second. But SNDL, I would say we could easily head to $2. And if we see this inverse head and shoulders follow through, we didn't really pull back with the right shoulders a little bit. We didn't really see a significant pullback, but the psychology is there. And if we see a bull break of this inverse head and shoulders, we could be heading to anywhere from $2 to $2.50. So that'd be my target on SNDL. But again, this has been a heavily short squeeze target name. And if we see SPY, the S&P 500, and the overall broader market bullish tomorrow, we see potential safe news, we see positive, huge earnings from Hexo, we see New York potentially legalizing, making progress there, we could easily shoot past $2 or $2.50. Like I said, after $3, there's really no resistance up until $4, and things could get really interesting here tomorrow. But we're going to move on. So we'll look at the rest of the Canadian space here. So we'll look at some bears, VLNS, PWR, PCLO, and VFF. There wasn't a whole lot of red today, but some red nonetheless. Huge ZENA, TGOD, CGC. So one thing I wanted to point out as well is Cannabis was up quite a bit today, and I added to my position at 14 cents. And that was because I didn't get the big dip in Hexo that I wanted. I had orders all the way. I was waiting for Hexo to consolidate. I was hoping for that right shoulder in the IHS, the inverse head and shoulders. And I was hoping to load up. I had orders all the way down from $7.25 to about $6. And this is after I scaled out. So I'll just backtrack. When I first entered Hexo, I entered around $3 and $4. I had a very, very large position, 5 figures. And then once I doubled up, once I had 100%, so once we hit $6 and $7, I sold 100%, I sold 50%. And then I took out my initial investment. So it was a risk-free trade. It was all profits. So I'm swinging 5 figures, those profits through earnings. But I scaled out the rest of that 50% at around $7, $8, $9, $10. And then again, I missed the $11 move, but again, I was scaling out into strength knowing that we were going to see daily consolidation. And then with that 50% profits, I was scaling out around 7, 8, 9, 10. Then I started scaling back in around 8, 7, 6. I even got some under $5. So I am back in I wanted to be in about 5,000 shares swinging through earnings, and that was going to be my profits, but I didn't get there because I didn't get the dip that we wanted. Back here, I added on that dip below $6, but I was waiting for that daily trend change, and that's what these market makers do, is they run it into earnings. They know a lot of people were scared back here, likely sold the bottom, and now they're looking for, it might even be one of you people on this live stream. Maybe we were waiting for that daily high or low that never came, and then today you're like, oh, you know what? I'll just buy in or whatever, and you buy in at the top, and then tomorrow we could see a potential gap up and then a potential sell-off. So a lot of people may potentially buy the top today and tomorrow, and if we see a sell the news reaction after a big bull move, that's always a possibility. You got to keep in mind that we've come from 558, so a lot of these names have run 50, almost 100%. So we need to keep in mind the possibility of a sell the news reaction. So I have my long-term no touch positions that I'm not touching for at least, a year, 3 years, 5 years plus. And then I have my swing position, which what I was talking about, swinging to only profits. And I didn't get the dip that I wanted today. So I was hoping for a dip down to around 560, which was the weekly EMA 12. And it was also the left shoulder here on the IHS. So I was hoping to see that 660. So I had orders all the way down to $6, knowing that those stink bids likely weren't going to get hit. But I had a few things to do during the day, doctor's appointment, etc., and wasn't at the computer 100%. So I just staggered those down. None of them actually hit, and I ended up having to just buy it at the market. At the end of the day, we didn't really see that FOMC bear reaction. It was pretty much a non-event. So I was happily ready to buy at $7 because, like I said, remember, I sold at 7, 8, 9, and 10. So even buying here at 777, I think it was, it's still a lot cheaper than when I was scaling out into strength. Now I'm scaling back in, looking to see this potential inverse head and shoulders. And if we see that inverse head and shoulders play out, we could be targeting $10 and the recent high up at $11. So I don't think it's entirely out of the question that we could definitely hit $11 tomorrow. And like I said, if SPY's strong, if we see huge numbers from Hexo, we had SNDL with a favorable reaction, GTII crushing. If SPY's strong and safe and New York and all this other news potentially comes out tomorrow, oh man, it could be a day for the books. So I'm excited. Let me know if you guys are excited. Let me know if you're swinging it. like I said, a lot of people were hoping for a bit more of a pullback, and I know a lot of people, so I was one of those. I didn't get it, but so I was looking to re-enter. So in terms of the amount of shares I was looking to swing about 5,000 shares through earnings. I'm only swinging about 3,500 shares because it didn't dip to where I wanted it. So I was okay not going in 100% of the position that I wanted. So I'm only swinging about 3,500 shares through earnings. But what I did is I bought Cannabis at 14 cents because they're being acquired by Hexo. So in theory, if Hexo has huge results tomorrow, we could see Cannabis and the arbitrage opportunity between that discount and that deal kind of, track that. So we may see Cannabis follow. And like I said, Cannabis has been strong here. So that makes me think that we could see potential of people expecting the same, expecting a bullish reaction from Hexo. So again, another clue that we could see a little bit of confidence here on these Hexo numbers. And watch very, very closely what Cannabis does tomorrow after Hexo earnings reaction as well. So moving on, TGOD, CGC, Hexo leading the bull list. So again, a lot of these names, daily consolidation today. APHA was a bit weaker today. That was notable. Started its daily consolidation and holding EMA 12. Cron daily consolidation, so it was pretty much across the board today. Tilray over $28 after hours. And again, just all these inverse head and shoulders setups. We knew to be looking for daily higher lows. And that's exactly what I did in my video yesterday. It was perfect, picture perfect scenario. So knock on wood that we get all favorable conditions, all systems go. And the green light from SPY, the Safe Banking Act, New York, we get Hexo earnings crushed. Let's just hope for the best, and let's see if we can get this daily higher low that we were calling for yesterday, and the consolidation in SPY leading to this, and then that right shoulder, the daily higher low, the daily trend change attempts, and then off to the races we go. So moving on from there, let's take a look at MSOS. It was up after hours, but it has since come down a little bit. Sometimes it's a little laggy here on TradingView, so I'll just bring it up on Google as well. 48.70, yeah, so something going on with TradingView there. So 48.70, so we're seeing a pretty big move there after hours, which is something that's a little different for MSOS. We have the highs here at 48.72, so that's the resistance to break. If we break that, we are in a notably strong daily uptrend. Have a new daily higher low established at 45.97 if we break that resistance. And then we're looking up to about $50. And we could see some fireworks here too if we see some news on SAFE, etc. So on the bull and bear list, we had VREO, KHRN, MMEN, and Truel. On the bull list, we had Ian, Harv, BAM, NBEV. BAM's another position I like. I have a pretty large position in BAM. Starting daily consolidation, looking to break above resistance here. Resistance to break is 78 cents. We closed right at it at the high of the day. So if we see follow through tomorrow, that is a daily uptrend confirmed and weekly higher lows are set. The more names that set daily uptrends here, the more likely that our weekly higher lows are set and we can be targeting these recent highs. And we could start to see the beginning of a huge FOMO train. So I'm just going to, before we get into questions here, don't forget it can always go lower than you think, right? You know that saying, the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. Well, it can also go a lot higher than you think. So I'm going to be cautious not to take profits too quickly. And I'm going to give the bulls the benefit of the doubt here because we are in monthly and weekly uptrends, SPYs at all-time highs. We've got a lot of catalysts coming in the US regarding legalization, regarding all these different uplisting, Safe Banking Acts, New York. We've got earnings coming up. So I'm just very, very bullish in the space. And it can always go a lot higher. I know a lot of people in our group were looking to sell Hexo. I remember back here, it's like, they're going to trap once we had this breakout of the pennant. So I'll just bring this back up. So we had this pennant breakout back here, and we had that fake out before the breakout. And then here I said, we're likely going to trap a lot of longs and we're likely going to trap a lot of shorts. And what I meant by that was people were going to be waiting to get in, waiting for that daily higher low that never came. And then shorts are just going to keep shorting and getting roasted. So longs got trapped and shorts got trapped, and they just ran it from 353 all the way up to 782, over 100% move in a matter of weeks, just a couple weeks. And that's, I was, when we were pulling back here, we hit a high of about $5, just over $5. We pulled back about 456. I know a lot of people were tempted to sell, and I said, I'm not selling a dime. I'm not selling a dime, because I knew that they were going to likely trap those bulls and those bears. And sure enough, we saw another 50% from there. And that's whenever I started to, that's when I sold 100% of my initial sold 50% of my position. So I had a 5-figure investment, and then I sold that at 100%. And then I was riding 50%. And then on this move up from here is when I started to scale out around $7, $8, $9, $10. And then once we got extreme there on the daily RSI, and we got over $10, when we got close to $10, I was 100% out of that remaining. I had 0 Hexo shares in my swing position. Still had it in my long term, but I was all out. Yeah, I felt a little FOMO when we got up to $11, but I knew that the most likely scenario was a daily higher low at some point. And then sure enough, yeah, I missed out on $1, but I also missed out on a 40% retracement. So that's the power of fighting FOMO. There'll always be another trade. And I know this is pretty busy there, so I'll just remove that. But loving this inverse head and shoulders. Would have liked to see a little bit more of a pullback, like I said, to get loaded up into earnings tomorrow. But I took advantage of the ZENA opportunity and hoping we see some follow through there. And I'm liking the chances. So before we get into the questions, I see we got quite a bit. I'm going to have a Molo drink. And cheers once again. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone in the room and who's going to be joining us later. And if you are just joining us or joining us after the stream, make sure to smash the like. It shows me some support. And subscribe to the channel, tick the bell, and you'll be notified whenever I go live next. So let's take a look at SNDL. 169, it looked like it finished at. $169, and aftermarket is now closed. So we'll see how we open around 4:35 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow, but I'm excited. All right, let's get into some questions. How will this affect Hexo tomorrow? Whisper number. Yeah, I think by your question, I think you mean SNDL. So how SNDL earnings affect Hexo? I don't think it's really going to affect it all that much, because Hexo is a lot, it's like a tier 2 LP in my opinion. And they're only making, $13 million a quarter. Hexo is going to bring in probably 40, or they're just not really comparing apples to apples. But no, I'm expecting Hexo to lift the sector more than SNDL. So I don't think it's really going to matter, but it's doing pretty good here after hours, and seems like the market is reacting favorably to those earnings, but we'll see how it opens tomorrow during regular trading hours. Absolutely. Thanks for all that you do. You're welcome. My pleasure. What a day is right. Yeah, it was pretty eventful. Going to smoke my Hexo joint. Be right back. What is the price target? I think you mean SNDL. Yeah, I'd say $2, $2.50. But again, who knows, right? Sky's the limit. If we get SAFE coming through tomorrow and New York legalization, Hexo crushes, SPY's strong, the Reddit crew and the Wall Street bets starts targeting SNDL again. Man, who knows? But conservatively, I say $2, $2.50. So just moving on to a few other questions here. I'm pumped for tomorrow. Heavy in Hexo. It will be interesting in the morning. That makes two of us, my friend. Best of luck going into tomorrow, Stephen. Did I miss the Hexo prediction for tomorrow? Hexo prediction. I've said it a few times in a few other videos. I'm gonna say I'm gonna expect about $40 million for the quarter, 45 on the high end. And for EPS, I'm not expecting positive EPS, but I am expecting in line with estimates, which was negative 0.04, I believe. March 18, negative 0.047. So I could see it coming in around like negative 0.03 or negative 0.01, but I don't think it's going to be positive. I think they could post positive EBITDA. And like I said, 32 million is the forecast for revenue. I could see somewhere between 35 to $45 million there on the revenue side. But in terms of price prediction, the inverse Head and Shoulders target would be about $10, and the recent highs were $11. So again, we could see those levels absolutely. I would say $10 to be conservative, but again, if we see Safe Banking Act, vote in the House tomorrow, if we see New York progress, if we see SPY strength tomorrow, that's all going to affect it, right? I don't swing Hexo. I hold for 3 to 5 years at least. Yeah, so I'm the same, Renee. Actually, I have one account that I'm holding for the long term. I'm actually going to hold that one for about 5 to 10 years, and it's just a smaller amount. And I basically don't log into that account. I never look at it, and it's a long-term hold. I'm not selling for at least 5 to 10 years. And then I have another account which is a semi-long term, which I'll be looking to hold for 1 to 3 to 5 years, depending on how much of a move we see in that time. Obviously, if we see some life-changing gains in there, I'll be definitely taking some profits for sure. But that's why I have my long-term no touch. Then I have my semi-long term, which is a few thousand shares, and then I have another few thousand shares in my day trading swing trade account, which I am now all profits because I had averaged in on that swing trade account and day trade account, and I've been flipping it, buying it back, selling it high, buying it back low, increasing shares. And like I said, just using that in my day trade. And then I entered with an average of about 350. And then at around $7, I sold for 100% gains. So I took out 50%, my initial investment, which was 5 figures. And then I kept the remaining 5 figures in. And then I started to scale out of that at around $7, $8, $9, $10. And then I just recently started to scale back in with that 50% profit at around $8, $7, $6, even got some under $6. So I've got 3 different accounts with Hexo in it and 3 different game plans, right? So there's no right or wrong strategy. And personally, that's just what works for me, because I know that if I'm in an account where I'm in it every day, it's my day trading account, I know I'm going to be tempted to sell it. And I know the type of person I am, so I just set it away, set it and forget it. And like I said, I'll be swinging in my day trade swing account. I'll be looking to sell Hexo likely on an earnings reaction. If we see a huge earnings reaction tomorrow and we shoot all the way up to $10 or $11 or $12, then you better believe I'll be selling that swing position and looking to reload cheaper. But just selling at resistance, buying at support, essentially is all it is. But yeah, I think it's a great long-term hold. Chris says, point to consider SNDL is a meme stock that's over 40% shorted. Retail is trying to squeeze. Yep. Yeah, it's a heavily shorted stock. I've mentioned that quite a few times. And yeah, I 100% agree. Swing 3.4K at 376. Very, very nice. That is awesome. I assume you mean Hexo, and I assume you mean USD. But either way, that's still really good, either if it's Canadian or USD. 1.5 billion shares, over 40% shorted. Recipe for gamma squeeze. Yep. Wouldn't be the first time either. Well, let's hope they do. And then once they squeeze it, rotate those profits into Hexo, please. Hey, are you going to do a live stream in the morning for Hexo? I sure am. SNDL to the moon. Yeah, I'll be doing a live stream. It seems the suit to try to hide Hexo. There's no much news. Yeah, it seems they're trying to hide Hexo. Oui, c'est probablement le cas, oui. Je pense que ça c'est qu'est-ce qu'il fait parce que on a voir. Sorry, my French is a little rusty at the moment. I'll switch over to English. So we saw another article where it was comparing, the licensed tobacco, big alcohol companies were forming an organization to basically push back on reform in the United States. And they mentioned Canopy and Constellation Brands, which is Corona. They mentioned Cron and Altria, and then they're like, oh, and Molson Coors is getting into the space as well, but they failed to mention Hexo. So it definitely seems like they're trying to keep the Hexo word out of the news and the media until after tomorrow. I bet you in a few days or weeks you're going to see more Hexo than you possibly can get your fill of, if that's even possible. But let's move on to a few other questions here. Hey bro, do you think I should buy Hexo for long term? Yes. Yes, I do. Question is, when are you going to buy it? So that, again, it's a little risky right now. I'd probably wait until, well, you're going to have to wait until after earnings reaction unless you play pre-market. But yeah, I'd be cautious here, right? I'd maybe want to wait for a weekly high or low, or, at least hourly oversold conditions, daily high or low, that type of thing. I wouldn't FOMO in. Got to be honest, I do not like these ZAC and SNDL. Seems Hexo being compared lately. Do you think the revenue miss from SNDL will benefit Hexo, which is likely to do another 100% year over year? I'm pretty sure Hexo beat on revenue. Or sorry, I'm pretty sure SNDL beat on their revenue by like $1 million. Yeah, I don't really expect SNDL to really affect Hexo too much. Yeah, you bet. Well, that's the benefit of selling near resistance and overbought level, and then rebuying near support, and then that way you're able to double up shares or reload cheaper, right? And just to keep increasing your shares. So that's kind of the benefit of technical analysis and learning charts and being part of a community, and just learning support and resistance. It all factors into your overall success in the markets, and it's all just tools in your tool belt. I'm thinking of getting into HRVSF. What are your general thoughts? What is your outlook for harvest in the short term? Yeah, I don't follow it a whole lot. We can take a look at the chart though. I was going to bring up HARV, but I know you said that ticker, so I'll bring up that one specifically. So it's looking pretty good, just like everybody else. Daily consolidation, seeing a little bit more of a pullback, so likely more of a type of an equilibrium type of setup. So we could see something along these lines. But again, if we see strength in the overall sector tomorrow, then we could see a potential daily trend change. So we could see this higher low and a break of resistance would give us that higher high and a daily trend change. So we had support here, the low at $3, right off $3 psychological, the high at 384, looking to form a higher low here at the low of 319. So if we break 384, that confirms a daily uptrend. So if you're looking for an entry, it could have been a nice entry here with that, looking for that daily higher low with a stop below $3. You could even set at 289 or 279. If you're using a little bit less capital, you could give it a little bit more wiggle room. There's a support level here at 274 as well. So you could have entered here on this low at around 319 with a stop under 3 or 274 if you're using a little bit of, a little less capital. Can allow for a little bit more risk, or if you're super long term, then you could have set it even under a little bit further than that. But personally, I would have been looking for the daily higher low. And again, benefits of having a community where you can, all day long, 24/7, you can bounce ideas, you can see what other members are doing. And that's literally what we do all day in POW Group. And you can check out powgroup.ca or pursuitofwealthgroup.com for a free trial. It's going to the end of the month. But essentially, this is what we've been calling for. And we've been giving people the heads up for, is to be watching for these daily higher lows. And sure enough, we could be bouncing here with the sector. So the high of the day today is going to be extremely important tomorrow. So if we break 357 tomorrow, the daily bounce is underway, and then we'll be targeting 384 and we'll look for a daily trend change. If you're really patient, maybe you're waiting for that daily trend change to confirm. Or maybe you're entering a little bit now and you're scaling into that daily higher low with a stop below $3. All different strategies for different types of risk profiles. And looking for those weekly higher lows, we could be seeing the weekly higher lows here off of the EMA 12, and a lot of names looking to change their daily trends and set weekly higher lows. So it's looking good. People spreading rumors that Hexo and SNDL will merge. No, not after Cannabis. I doubt it. Maybe in a few years or something like that. I don't see that anytime soon. Yeah, it seems super unlikely. I don't see that happening. SNDL is not the greatest for debt and stuff either, so I don't know. They're a fairly new company. I wouldn't expect that. How much of Hexo is shorted? You can just go to shortdata.com or shortdata.ca and then type in Hexo. And then it'll bring it up here. So historical short volume data. So there's the volume, percentage of volume shorted, short volume. So yeah, check out short data. Oh, that's not the one. What's going on there? It looks different. Doesn't give me it's just the NYSE. Okay. But yeah, you can go check out shortdata.ca. SNDL to $5. Yeah. Possibly. We have the recent highs at 4. We've got a lot of resistance up before $5 though. Hexo is my most borrowed stock. Borrowed. So by borrow, I assume you mean leverage. I assume you mean you're borrowing money that you're putting into Hexo. I'd just be careful with that, if that is what you mean. NSPR is a nice penny stock to check out. NSPR, yeah, I never heard of it. I assume it's a cannabis stock. Inspire MD. No, never heard of it. I'll be sure to check it out. Thanks for sharing. Sorry, my English is not super good. No worries. My French is not super good, so that makes two of us. We have something in common. What is your price prediction for a free Tilray by year end? Can you give me a rundown of that, if possible? Oh man, yeah, those are. I was really bullish on them back at $7 and $5, and when nobody wanted to even hear about MJ stocks in the summertime. But yeah, now we're at all-time highs pretty much. So a lot can happen in all-time highs. And if Freya hit new all-time highs here, I mean, we could easily go to $30 again. But it's even entirely possible that we see double tops or lower highs and an equilibrium and a tightening range for the next year or so. If we get US legalization and hype into that, we could pull a Bitcoin and just straight parabolic to the moon and back. I wouldn't be able to throw a prediction out there. Look at the monthly RSI, and we're not at historical monthly RSI levels. So if we were to go back up to 90 on the RSI or above, wouldn't be completely unheard of, given the fact that Tesla and everybody else is going to 90 on the monthly RSI. So I think it's possible. All right, we had crypto run in 2017, and then the year after that, MJ ran, and then EV and electric vehicle and tech ran, and then crypto ran again. So maybe it's MJ's turn. It's a laggard sector. It's a lot of positive, economic data and catalysts coming up. I could see it going to 90 on the monthly RSI. If we get up to 90 on the monthly RSI, that'd probably put us at like $40 or $50 a share. So I'd say $50 on the high end and $40 as a potential year-end target. That's what I go with. And then in terms of Tilray, I think Tilray will be, we're not even close to the all-time highs, right? Remember when that IPO came out? It was just absolute insanity, up to $300 from like $20. I mean, again, so this is why I've started the Pursuit of Wealth channel, and the whole, the whole idea behind Pursuit of Wealth is the pursuit of wealth, of the journey, the trends, and the next big thing, right? And catching things before they happen. And $300 all the way down to $243, over 98% drop. And no one even wanted to hear the word MJ a couple months ago, back in the summer or a year ago, right? But now that we've run from there at $2, we've run about 29 times 3,000%. Now people are getting interested again, right? So this is the psychology that most people have backwards. When we're at these lows here and nobody wants anything to do with it, that's when you want to start investing in for the long term, right? You don't want to wait until we go 25x or 30x and then start saying, I want to invest for the long term, because what we see is emotions are very, very strong. And then we see a nasty pullback, monthly consolidation or weekly consolidation. People get faked out, then they sell the bottom, and then they end up buying back at the top again, right? So this is why I'm cautious on Tilray. But again, Tilray's got a long ways to go. I haven't even seen a monthly bull cross of those EMAs yet. CGC saw its monthly EMA 12 and 26 bull cross. APHA saw its cross. Tilray is likely going to benefit the most from that APHA deal, since they're keeping the Tilray name. one would think that we could potentially see an EMA 12 and 26 bull cross there as well. And lack of resistance on the monthly up until $300. Wouldn't be surprised, but yes, target on Tilray. Again, the monthly RSI nowhere close to overbought. Haven't even ever been monthly overbought. So if we see this U.S. legalization, run up into, like, if U.S. legalizes in early 2022, this thing could easily go to monthly overbought, and we could easily be up to a couple $100 a share, in my opinion. But again, that could be a year or 2 years. Hexo USD. Okay, cool. That's even better. SNDL year-over-year revenue was negative. They did. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I was looking at their earnings. So they were 15, 16, 15, 9. Ugh. That hurt. And then they had a increase in revenue forecast. It was 50 and then 60, and they came in at 9. It's almost half. And then they had it scaled down back to 11.37, and that's millions of dollars in US dollars. So we're going to wrap things up. It's going to do it for today's St. Paddy's Day special. Excuse me while I have a sip of the Molo. Thanks. I'll definitely buy in the dip. Why do you talk about Cron? Why don't you? Oh, really don't like Cron, to be honest with you, Sean. CLVR. That name sounds familiar. I don't recognize the ticker. CLVR. Clever Leaves. No, I've never heard of that one. But we're gonna wrap things up here pretty much. Never heard of that one. I don't really like Cron. They're only making. Let's just take a quick peek at their earnings. What was it, like 9 million? Was it like 9 million or something? No, 13 million. That's Canadian. So yeah, I think I'm thinking of the US. So if we look up NASDAQ, still 13 million Canadian. Wasn't updated on the most recent one there, but 13 million Canadian. I mean, Hexo's, wait until Cannabis. Why does everybody talk? My question is, why is everybody talking about Cron all the time? It's not, it's not why. I don't think there's a problem with me not talking about Cron. I think the problem is, why are people talking so much about Cron? It's kind of ridiculous. Everybody's calling it a tier 1. It's not a tier 1. A tier 1 makes, like 20 or 30 million dollars a quarter. They're making 13 million Canadian. That is terrible. It's almost a joke. And like, they got Altria. How are they not doing better? And this stock was up at $25. Come on. Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit odd. Like, I like their spinach brands. There's not really a whole lot of their products that I like. That's like the only thing I really like, right? But their market valuation isn't justified by their sales yet. But maybe we see some news come out or some potential, fundamental changes. But I'm not bullish on Cron at all. It's very overrated. Like, Hexo is going to probably pull off like 35 million, 40 million. They just did 13 million. And more people consider Cron a tier 1 and Hexo a tier 2. It just doesn't make any sense. Wait till Hexo gets Cannabis revenue. They're going to be pushing 50, 60 million a quarter, which is like they could be doing 4 times, 5 times the amount of revenue per quarter as Cron. But yet everybody and their dog talks about Cron as a number 1 and not Hexo as a number 2. It kind of aggravates me, to be honest. But that's just me spilling the beans on that. Curious, is this your full-time job or is this a side hustle, so to speak? Point is, I appreciate your insight and respect your ability to capture relevant information while balancing a full-time job. Yeah, I work a full-time job. I do this on the side for now. So I broke my hand recently as well, so I wasn't completely 100% full time there, but yeah, I do all kinds of things. I have real estate investments, I do property management, I've got my trading, I've got three different, my investing, my swing trade, and my semi long term, and then my day trade account. I've got, the POW group community to manage, and a group of about 50 to 100 members that we are constantly supporting on a daily basis. And yeah, it's starting to roll out some courses, and working on my continuous learning and advancing of my knowledge. So it's been pretty crazy. But 2021 and 2020 were kind of years to just buckle down and get things done. And personally, I didn't do a whole lot of TV watching. I don't even have Netflix anymore. I've just been grinding hard, and I'm just had my birthday on Monday, and I'm just over 30 years old, and I'm pretty much set for life, right? So if you set yourself up, I got into real estate at an early age. I had my first job when I was 11. I worked hard labor, and it kind of reminded me of Sebastian St. Louis, actually. He first got a fourplex when he first got started in his business career. And then he ended up forming a few other businesses and then formed Hexo. And it just came from nothing. I didn't come from any money. My parents, don't know anything about financing. They never taught me anything about, I didn't even know what an RSP was, an RESP. I didn't have any of that. This was all knowledge that I had to gain on my own. And I've been investing for over 10 years now, trading for over 5 years. And been profitable trading for the last several years, the last few years at least. But I was terrible in the beginning as well, and it definitely is hard to manage. I got a family and a girlfriend and a lot of stuff going on, so it is challenging. Also working on some courses. You can check out powgroup.ca, check out our academy page. There's actually a free course that we're going to be loading. I finished the first chapter, so I'm going to be working on that as well this weekend. But you can register for that. It is available now. You can sign up for free. And there'll also be a few other courses that we'll be coming out with in the future, a little bit more advanced one, so level 1, and then a more advanced level 2 course as well. But my goal is to be free, be my own boss, eventually just travel the world and, do what I want to do and not have anything holding me back. And that was what inspired the pursuit of wealth and this community and this YouTube channel. It's been a journey. It's been great. I'm really enjoying it so far. Yeah, no problem, Renee. Did you buy Vuzi after looking it up the other day? Augmented reality glasses for enterprise is the future, it seems. No, I didn't. Looked really cool though, but I'm pretty much laser focused right now on MJ, and then I'm going to be starting to look into some other sectors and some other opportunities. But yeah, I agree. Those reality glasses are going to be big. The only thing I'm concerned about is other big tech getting involved as well. It's only a matter of time before Apple comes out with their own, more than likely. I mean, they've got their own credit card, for crying out loud. Apple Car too. I meant it's my most borrowed stock through the stock lending program. Someone else is borrowing shares from me. Oh, yeah. Gotcha. Oh, thanks for sharing. Yeah, there's a lot of interest right now in Hexo, and not on the media because it was like Tesla, right? It's like Tesla before it. Everybody on Wall Street, all the analysts were saying, don't buy it, don't buy it. They don't make any money. It's a terrible investment. And then it goes from $100 a share to $5,000, and then it reverse splits. If we didn't factor in the reverse split, the share would be at about 5,000. So, and I was recommending people buy it at $100 a share, and people were getting scared off. But look at all these analysts saying it's bearish, it's bearish, it's bearish. I'm like, okay, don't buy it. And then we go from $100 a share to $5,000 a share. Same thing with Hexo. I think is going to be a very similar situation. Again, it's probably not going to be in the S&P 500 or SSL is not going to be the richest man in the world like Elon Musk anytime soon, I don't believe. But in terms of percentage gain and the overall story, I think it could be a similar situation where we see, the new Coca-Cola of the cannabis space, the new Amazon of cannabis. It's all it would take is a couple, PRs and press releases for some big money managers to come out and say the Coca-Cola, or what if Coca-Cola signed a deal with Hexo eventually? You never know, right? They're in talks with a CPG partner, a consumer packaged goods partner, outside of the beverage industry, they said. Our group is speculating on it. It was kind of fun. We had a post in our community for private members that shout out to QC in our group who shared that, but it was basically a speculation chart of all the different CPG partners that could be. And there was Mars from Kraft to, Coca-Cola to Pepsi to Procter and Gamble to, Nestle. And I think it could be Nestle. Mars is another good one too. Mars would be good because it's not in the beverage space. So could see something like cosmetics, but he said they were more like a Fortune 100 company. So if the top 100 company, Mars and Nestle would both be in the top 100 companies worldwide. So imagine if that news came out, right? I also know that Hexo is working on additional products. So we could see products rolling out. We saw Lemon Haze. We saw the gelato come out. So I can see a lot more products. They said that their marketing department said they have some really cool ones that's going to really, really blow the market away. So I'm looking forward to it. They didn't tell me any details, but they certainly left me with a cliffhanger. How do you think the market will react to GTI's good earnings report? I think it'll be good. And like I said, with potentially the SAFE Act going to the House tomorrow for a vote, and New York potentially making progress on legalization, it could be huge. Thank you so much for your insight, bro. Much appreciated. You're welcome, my man. No problem. Have a good one. Thanks for all the info. Thank you. Thank you. Happy birthday. Thank you very much, Stephen. Awesome background, bro. Your story is very inspiring. Side note, I have a family in Ottawa, and I told them whatever they do not sell their real estate. It's crazy right now. Yeah, I had a house in Prince Edward Island, and I bought it less than 5 years ago, and it almost 100% appreciated in value in less than 5 years. So I sold that. But I also have a duplex that I have for rental income and a rental property, and I still have that, and I'm not planning on selling that anytime soon. So I'm taking in rental property income now, and then, like I said, it could appreciate like crazy even from here. And I'm up almost 100% on that investment as well. And that's big money, right, when you're dealing with real estate. I think valuations are going to continue to go up in Canada, especially if they continue to add population. Oh, absolutely. I agree. Hell yeah, same goals. Yeah, absolutely. Go us. Nux. Happy birthday. Thank you. Thank you. Is Hexo your number one pick for long-term Canadian MJ stocks? Yes. Close competitors? Tilray. I like Canopy, but their price to earnings, their products aren't the greatest. Like, I don't really buy any of their stuff. So I don't know. I'd say APHA and Tilray and Hexo. I'd like to see Hexo get into the craft growing spaces. I'm a really big fan of that niche in that space, and hopefully we're going to see a buyout from Cannara Biotech. All right, we're going to end it there. Who's your favorite US MSO for long term? I like Cureleaf. I like, who else do I like? Cresco Labs. I like BAM. Again, I'm big into the craft growing, so I really like Body and Mind. And I've also got a few other ones, but Cura, CL, BAM, and I've also got MSOS. So you can check out MSOS, which is the cannabis ETF that tracks all the big US companies. And you can get exposure to a lot of different companies through that ETF. And it's also listed on a major exchange where it has access to a lot of capital, right? So that's another option as well. Hopefully that helps, Jordan. All right, thanks everybody for the birthday wishes and happy St. Patrick's Day. Again, I can't wait for earnings tomorrow. Super pumped. Let me know if you're pumped. Hopefully you'll be able to get some sleep tonight. I'll be up super early. You'll see me in the morning for a stream. I'll be joining the webcast and investor call as well. Can't wait. Take care, everybody. Molo out, and we'll see you tomorrow.